Hello learners, in this tutorial I'm going to explain you what is Delta Table and how to implement Delta Table in the Databricks environment. In the previous video tutorial I have explained you how to mount Azure storage account with the Databricks environment. So if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch that video. So we will start today video tutorial. So first of all we will see what is Delta Table. Actually, Delta Table are a new type of tables in Databricks that provide a powerful and efficient way to work with big data. They are optimized for fast, read-intensive, large-scale data processing and ideal for use cases such as data lakes. A data lake is essentially a version of data lake table that is stored as a collection of small data files in hierarchical file systems rather than as a single monolithic file. This allows for fast incremental processing and enables you to keep track of changes to the data over time. The data tables also offer a number of other advantages over traditional data lake tables such as ACID transaction. It means data tables support ACID transactions which allow you to update, delete or insert data in a safe and consistent manner even when multiple users are accessing the same data simultaneously. The next one is data versioning. Delta Table automatically version each change of the data, so you can roll back to any previous versions if necessary. So in my practical sessions, I will show you how to roll back Delta Tables. Then data management. Delta Tables provides a number of built-in data management features such as automatic data pruning and comparisons, which help you to keep your data lake organized and optimized for performance. And efficient query. Data tables are optimized for fast querying even over large data set. They also support predictive pushdowns, which allow you to filter data at the storage layer before it's loaded into memory. Makes your queries faster and more efficient. So overall, data table provides a powerful and flexible way to store, manage, process big data in a Databricks and are a great choice for data lakes use cases. So that is the basic definitions of the data table. Now I will show you how to create Delta table database in the data lake. Then I will show you how to create Delta tables using PySpark, Spark SQL and data frame. Then I will show you how to display the data of the Delta table. Then we can see the structure. We can describe the Delta table. With that we can get the available columns and the data types. Then we can drop the Delta table using commands. And also if we have a database in our data lake, we can list out all the delta tables. In addition to that, we can alter or rename our columns in the delta table. So I will show you how to do that. In addition to that, as I explained in my introduction session, I will show you how to roll back delta table for the previous version. So those are the areas I'm going to explain in my demonstration. So now we will see one by one. So first of all, I'm going to create a database called landing. So already I have mounted that landing in my storage account. So simply I can execute this command like this. Then it will create. So if you go to the data, you can see under database I have created the landing database. So inside that database I'm going to create a delta table using PySpark. So you can see my database is landing, table name is students. I have few columns: student ID, student name, department name, number and salary. The data types are long, string, integer and decimal respectively. So properties we can give there, and also we have to give the location like this. Okay, so after that we can give the partition. So partition is basically when you are creating the partition, it will create a hierarchical folder structure based on the partition columns value. So now we will see how to create this delta table using PySpark. To execute this one, you can click on this run cell button. Yeah, you can see table has created successfully. If you go to the data, then you can see under landing we have created that folder. So that is the table schema you can list here. So you can see all the information is there, created, last modified, the available columns. In addition to that partition number, the table is empty. So once we inserted that data, few records will be displayed here. So this is the steps to create a delta table using PySpark. Then I will show you how to create a delta table in a different way. Sometimes we have to check that delta table is available in the database. If not exist, we can create that table. So for that we have a different syntax. Earlier simply we use create statement. Now we have used create if not exist. So I'm using a different table name for that, and also I'm using the different locations also. So MNT landing student. So simply we can execute this command to create this table. You can see the table delta table created successfully in my database. So if you go to there, you can see both table is there. So in addition to that, we can create a delta table in another way. It's called create or replace. So if you have that table, we can replace, or else if that table is not there, then we can create that table. So for that, actually I'm using a different table name. So simply you can execute this one, automatically it will create. So that is the steps to create delta table using PySpark. Now I will show you how to create delta table using Spark SQL. So basically the syntax is little bit different. So when we are writing executing a Spark SQL, we have to put that percentage SQL, because already we have start using the Python notebook. So to execute that Spark SQL, you have to put this percentage SQL. So after that you can write your own SQL queries on top of the Python notebook. So this is the syntax: create table, database name is landing, and start student Spark SQL is the table name. Then we can define the column names like we implemented earlier. So after that we have to give the using delta, and we have given the location. So that is the syntax for Spark SQL delta table creation. Now I will show you how to create this table. So simply you have to click on this run cell. Yeah, you can see successfully it has created. So if you go to landing database, you can see Spark SQL table is there. In addition to that, I will show you the structure of the storage account in my landing container. So if you go to my storage account under containers, I'm creating that tables under landing container. So you can see there will be a multiple delta tables here. So those are the folder structure for this delta tables. Okay, now I will go to the notebook again. So there's another option. Again, I'm going to create a delta table. In that we are using create or replace table. So for that we have to use create or replace keyword. Then if there is a table, then we can replace, or else we can create a new delta table. So I will show you how to execute. So simply you have to click on this run cell, then it will create the delta table. Yeah, successfully it has created the delta table. So if you go to there, you can see student create or replace SQL table has created. So likewise there will be another option, create table if not exists. That is another options to create a delta table using Spark SQL. So simply I will execute this command to create this table in my landing database. Yeah, it has successfully created. So if you go to the data, you can see if not exist, Spark SQL table has created. So likewise using Spark SQL and the PySpark, we can create delta tables. In addition to that, we can create a delta table using data frame. So I will show you how to create that delta table using data frame. So for that I am going to create a sample data frame with sample data. So basically I have 3 records in the data frame and with 3 columns, the student ID, student name, 4 columns with 3 records. So student ID, student name, department number, and salary. You can see this command, this statement explain the data of that data frame, and I have defined the schema for that data frame. So after that, df.create spark.create data frame, I am going to create the data frame. That data frame is df. So at the end I will display that data frame. So now I will execute this command and see the data of my df data frame. So you can see there are 4 columns and 3 records for my df data frame. So after that, I will create a delta table using this data frame. So for that, we have to use df.write format. The type is delta and save as table is student df table. So when I am executing this command, it will create the delta table in my default database. So simply I will execute this one. Yeah, it has successfully created. So if you go to the data, under default database, you can see that default student df table. If you double click on that, then we can see the schema as well as sample data. It will take some time to load that data. Yeah, you can see this is the details of the delta table, and those are the columns, and also we can see the sample data set of this table. So that is the method to create your delta table using data frame. Okay, so I think we have explained 3 options to create the delta table. Now I will show you how to describe our delta table. Now already we have created the before that, actually we can select all the records of the delta table. Simply we can execute some queries to retrieve data of our delta table. So for that, we have to use you can use Spark SQL and PySpark also. Here I am using first I will explain you how to use the Spark SQL. So for that, as I explained earlier, when we are executing that Spark SQL, we have to put %SQL, then simply you can write your SQL query. So my SQL query is select all from student df. So when I am executing this one, it will get this output. It means it will retrieve all the records of this delta table. So likewise, we can do the same operations using PySpark. So simply we have to give the spark.sql in within brackets, within double quotations, we have to include that select query. So we have created that table in the default database. So we have to give the default as database, and table name we have to give. Then after that, we have to display our data frame. So once we execute this one, you can see the available data we can see. So that is the way display all the data or records of the delta table. So I think you have clear understanding about how to create the delta table and how to display the data of the delta table. Now I will show you how to describe the delta table. Describe means if you want to see the available columns with the data types, then we have to execute some commands. So for that also we have 2 options. Basic information, basic details we can get through the describe, as well as we can get the more details with the describe detail command. So I will show you one by one. So first I will explain describe table name. So you can see the column names and data types and comments. I haven't included any comments, so simply it will give the data types of my delta table. So after that, if you want to get the describe the full details, then you have to use describe details student df. So I will execute and get the output. Now you can see there will be a lot of details there. Okay, it is the format delta, id, name and descriptions. There are a lot of informations related to delta table. Okay, so that is about it. So yeah, I think you have clear understanding about how to describe the table. So then I will show you how to drop a delta table. So already we have created the delta table using data frame. So then using drop table delta table name, you can drop the existing table. So simply we can execute this one to drop our delta table. Yeah, and also we can use if drop table if exists. So that conditions we can use when we are, I think when we are creating the delta table, we have used the same syntax. So likewise we can do that command. So after that we can list all the delta tables in our landing or whatever the database. So you have to mention the database name. So for that we have to give the command like this: show tables from landing. In this command, it will show the all the tables of the landing database. Now I will show you this command. Yeah, you can see we have created a lot of tables in our earlier sections. So all the tables has listed here. So after that, if you want to list the default the tables of in the default schema, then you have to write show tables. Then it will show all the tables of the yeah. So actually we haven't actually earlier we created this table in the default database. After that we have dropped that table. So because of that, there is no any result for this query. Okay, so I think now you know how to describe as well as how to drop delta tables in your database. Now I will show you how to rename the columns of the delta table. So for that, actually I am using same table. So actually I am going to rename that earlier dropped table. So so what I am going to do is, again I am going to create this delta table using this command. So simply I will execute this one to create this table. So after that I will execute this one, this command 13. It will create the delta table, because with the drop command I will have dropped that one. So after that, using this command, we can see the available database in the default database. Earlier it was not, there was no any table. Now you can see this table is available. Okay, now what we are going to do is, we are going to rename the columns of the delta table. So for that I will show you. Simply we can get the yeah, you can simply, you can see student ID, student name, department numbers and salary are the columns of this database table. So simply we are going to rename the student number into name, salary into monthly salary. Those are the changes we are going to do here. So for that we have to give the right format delta, and mode is overwrite, means we are overwriting this column with the data, and option is overwrite schema is true. So if there is any modified records, then automatically it will overwrite. And also we are saving our table as student underscore df dot table. So same table name we are using here. So I will execute this command. Yeah, I think rename operation has completed successfully. Then once I select the data of this table, you can see earlier it was student name, now it has name. Salary is monthly salary. So easily it has renamed with the new column name. So that is the methods to rename the columns of the delta table. So I think now you have a clear understanding about how to rename the columns of the delta table. So now at the end I will show you how to roll back the delta table for the previous versions. So first of all we will see the history of the our delta table. So basically to get the history we have to execute the command. Command is describe history. Then we have to give the database and the table name. So I will execute this command. Then you can get the history. So you can see there are two versions, 0 and 1. 1 is the latest one. So you can see with the time you can get the operations. The first one is the create table as select, create or replace table as select. Those are the history of this table. Then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to delete a record where student ID equal to 1. It means I'm going to delete this record, the last record. So then we'll see what happened. Okay, so I'm going to delete this one. Yeah, number of affected row is 1. So if I execute this command again, then there should be 2 records, because where student ID equal to 1 record has deleted. So after that, now we have deleted that one. Then I'm going to describe the history of that table again. So simply run cell. Then you can see earlier there were only 2 versions. Now we have 3 versions. Okay. So now we have only 2 records, and we have 3 versions. Now with the versions 2 operations, what we have done is we have delete the operation. So when I am executing this one, you can see only 2 records like this. Okay. So if you want to restore, yeah, there are 2 records. So if you want to restore in the previous state, so what we can do is, we have to give the command is restore table, the default student table to version as of 1, because in the version 1 we have 3 records, in the versions 2 we have 2 records. So we need to have the all 3 records in our delta table. So I'm going to restore versions of 1. Okay, this is the one. So I'm executing this command here. Yeah, now we have restored the version as of 1. Then there should be 3 records. So we haven't executed any insert or update queries. Only we restore for the previous version. So you can see there should be 3. Yeah, you can see there are 3 records. So once we delete, there will be there are only 2 records. Now we can get 3 records once we restore for the version 1. So likewise we can do this rollback operation. So basically in the rollback operations we are keeping logs only for 30 days. So after that we are not keeping that data table, not keeping logs for 30 days. That is the default period. So if you want to increase that period, you can increase that one up to 60 days or 90 days. That is the for that we have to change the property. So if you want you can Google and get that information. So if you need that one, please put on the comment sections, then I will share that comment with you. So I think those are the areas I'm going to cover. I am planning to cover in this video tutorial. So I think you have a clear understanding about the delta table and how to create delta tables in different ways, like PySpark, Spark SQL using data frame, and how to create the how to drop the delta tables, and those things I have explained. So I think now you have a clear understanding about that. So if you are interested, you can comment and you can share with your friends. Thank you.